Mic check. Okay. All right. We just passed our 5 sets of combines, 5 sets of the 50K combines with Topstep, which means here shortly we'll be able to activate those. It's same day activation. Pretty cool. But I do love this dashboard. I was going to do a quick review of my stats just to, see how we did and show all of you out there more or less, what the stats could look like in passing one of these if you've never passed a combine. And so, super lucky. I was able to pass these in exactly 2 days. That's the fastest amount of time that you can pass these with the 50% consistency rule in the evaluation. It's a little bit more, a little bit less. They're not going to ding you if you make just over $1,500 or just under, as long as you have the 3,000 in profit. And you're right around 50%. It's been my experience. I've done this, dozens of times that they just go ahead and let you pass for the day. And so you can see total profit is $3,017.96 in a matter of 2 days across 5 accounts. And so rocked about a 77.59% win rate. Pretty good. On my funded accounts, I'm closer to probably about a 60% win rate. So not really enthused about that, not really down about that. It is what it is, and it's an eval at the end of the day. So I'll take a decent win rate, but I look at that number and I think, hey, that's probably a little bit higher. I think I'm normally a bit lower on my funded accounts. And this is the number that I'm taking kind of as a learning curve is my average win, average loss. I like that to be closer to 1. I'd like it to be over 1, but in my experience, it usually isn't based on my trading style. As long as I'm right about 1 and I'm right around 60% profitable as a trader, and that's what I'm going for. So profit factor is 2.81. You can see total profit. I had 4,686 in wins and 1,600 in losses. What I take away from that, hey, maybe if I could minimize some of this loss, if I was a bit more patient, or I, cut my losers faster, I wouldn't have had to have as much profit. This is an interesting metric. Like, it took me 4,600 in wins to get to 3,000 is another way to look at that. And so you worked pretty hard to get to 3,000. You worked harder than maybe you needed to. You're always going to have some losses, but the goal of the game, again, is just to try and minimize it. And so, yeah, kind of cool. The daily balance, it's not very interesting when you just have 2 days of data. But you can see my most active day was Tuesday. That happens to be this morning. I started the day up about 750 and ended down, I was probably an hour into the New York session, and I was green and had an unrealized loss that would have put me red if I closed it, and then ended up $1,500. So I do trade these risky. It's an evaluation. I don't try and take more than about a week to pass these, but I don't. I try not to blow it. Just to pass in 2 days. But yeah, most active day was Tuesday. Most profitable day was Sunday. I opened that up during Globex on Sunday and locked in the $1,500. Total number of trades is 58. Total number of lots traded is 175. I traded a combination of micros and minis. Average trade was about 26 minutes, and yeah, most of my wins were about, this is an interesting to see. My wins, my average win, I'm holding those. My average loss was about 7 minutes, which I think is good. You should let your winners run, let your winners run, and try and cut off your losses as fast as you can. From there, I kind of look at, what is my average trade? My average winning trade is $100. Average losing trade a little bit more. You gotta watch that. If that gets too far out of line, that can make you unprofitable as a trader. You really have to make it up with win rate if it gets too far out of line. And so, again, I like to run about 60%, 70% win rate. And so I can't let that get too far out of line. Best trade was $357. I think that's a big takeaway for those of you out there that are looking to, pass your own one of these one day. You don't need massive trades. This is the best trade I took on this, and I got three 3,000 in profit in 2 days. Worst trade, a little bit smaller, 267. And so, yeah, kind of cool and fun to look at these dashboards. It is cool to look in. You know, this is ideal. Here's Sunday evening. I started. You know, we had family over that evening on Globex Open of Sunday, and so once we got, you know, everything settled, everything put away, kids to bed, started trading. And you know, it took me about 2 hours and kind of traded around the core of a single position and locked in the $1,500. You can see most trades, you know, I'm anywhere from $100 to 75, 29. It's just trading around a core. So that's ideal. And then what's not ideal is this. And so this is last night. Started out red, rushed into a trade, and you know, in hindsight, probably should have waited a little bit, but was able to crawl out of it, and you know, went to bed green. Said, hey, I'm halfway there. Let's finish it tomorrow. This morning, started up the live stream. We live stream every day. Tune in, New York Open. But started up the live stream, had a bit of a drawdown, and just about took this thing red. And was able to recover it with a nice sell-off. But you can see if I go through each one of my trades here, I mean, I don't have any big losses, and I don't really have very many big wins either. Like, upper 200s and 300s is kind of the big volatile trades for me. So yeah, those are kind of my stats. What it looked like, this is one of the faster times I've passed an eval. I mean, I think on average it takes me 3 to 4 days, which is fine. If you're just starting out and you're just learning, I would say my advice to you would be take 30 days. You don't need to rush it. The market's not going anywhere, and you know, once you do get that thing passed, you'll be better off knowing that, you know, you didn't burn a bunch of accounts, you didn't incur all these expenses just to get there. Like a trader that takes 30 days and maybe burns through 2 accounts doing so and gets funded is in a better situation than a trader that takes 10 days but burned through 50 accounts to get there. You have way more expenses, and so then, you know, the payouts that you got to go for are, you just have to push. You know, you have to make so much more to offset those expenses. But that's kind of all I got. This is what it looks like, and thanks for tuning in.